Hi, I'm Natasha.
And I'm Cassandra.
And this is Strange Sisters. And with the passing of Pope Francis, this prophecy has resurfaced. And so we wanted to talk about it a little bit because it's a kind of like Doomsday or end of the church prophecy. We thought it would be interesting, at least to us and our dad. Hopefully to other people as well. So this is a 900-year-old Vatican Doomsday prophecy, and this prophecy has intrigued scholars, theologians, and conspiracy theorists alike. And as I mentioned, it's a 900-year-old prediction that some believe foretells the end of the papacy and perhaps the world itself. So, in the heart of the Vatican, which, let's be real, how many people really know what's in the heart of the Vatican, right? So it's hard to verify any of this because your average person can't really get into any of these places, but allegedly, in the heart of the Vatican, amidst ancient manuscripts and guarded secrets, lies a prophecy attributed to a 12th century Irish archbishop. Could this be a roadmap to the end of times, or is it just, one of those things that was written a really long time ago and has no real bearing on our current state of things? So our journey begins in the year 1139, which is a very long time ago. Saint Malachy, the Archbishop of Armagh, and that's an Irish place, so I know I'm saying it wrong, embarks on a pilgrimage to Rome. During his visit, he reportedly experiences a vision, a series of cryptic Latin phrases, each corresponding to future popes from his time until the end of the world. Yeah, so
that's not great.
Got archbishops having visions, and back then this would be good and not like a you're crazy kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, right now it all sounds crazy, but it all seems like timelines matching up. But I mean, we thought the world was going to end in 2000 with the what is it called?
Y2K.
Yeah, and then in 2012 with the Mayan or Aztec calendar.
Yeah, I think it was the Mayan calendar. I could be wrong.
We've survived so far. We're like cockroaches, basically.
Well, as far as we know, I mean, what if we're all living in a simulation? Like, then maybe the world did end and we're just like on some spaceship and our brains are still.
I don't want to know. I will comfortably stay here.
Okay.
Like, I would not survive the Matrix. I would have been like, no, I just want to go back. No, thank you.
I'm sure a lot of people who took that pill did want to go back. Like, this was a mistake.
My dogs are here. Like, my husband, I'm good.
Yeah, other than like, all the human rights violations and poverty and all that, I guess.
Why you gotta kill my vibe?
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, you're right, and that's fair. If we were in a simulation, why would that still be happening?
To distract people? I mean, if everything's perfect, I think people would start to wonder.
That's so dumb. Like, if
Assuming
I'm going to be in a simulation, at least make it a happy one.
Yeah, well, I mean, who designed the simulation? It's not your everyday person. It's someone that's trying to control things, everything, in theory. But anyway, back to this thing about the Pope. Hold on. Okay. These 112 mottos, the ones that came to him in this vision, are succinct yet mysterious, and were said to predict the characteristics or origins of each pontiff. So that's interesting that each one is supposed to be attributed to a pope that has come since his time. However, the prophecy remained hidden for centuries, only surfacing in 1595 when Benedictine monk Arnold de Wyon, that's W-Y-O-N, published it in his book Lignum Vitae. That one I can pronounce because we took Latin in high school.
What was it? Scopa.
Yeah, Scopa. So the timing of this publication had raised eyebrows. Some scholars suggest it was forgery, possibly created to influence a papal conclave of 1590. The descriptions of popes before this date are notably accurate, while those after become increasingly vague. So it was originally published in 1139. So between 1139 and 90, they're saying those ones are pretty accurate, but then the ones that came after that were a little more vague. And despite doubts about its authenticity, the prophecy has captivated the imaginations of generations, obviously, especially as we approach its ominous conclusion. So let's delve into some of these enigmatic phrases. De labor solis, or from the labor of the sun, is associated with Pope John Paul II. And intriguingly, he was born during a solar eclipse and buried during another. So that one's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And the next one is Gloria Olivae, or the glory of the olive, corresponds to Pope Benedict XVI. And some link this to the Olivetans, the branch of the Benedictine order, suggesting a connection through his chosen papal name. So can't say I'm familiar with the Benedictine order, but sure. And the final entry, however, is the most foreboding, which is Petrus Romanus, or Peter the Roman. And it reads, "The final persecution of the Holy Roman Church, there will sit Peter the Roman, who will feed his flock amid many tribulations, after which the seven-hilled city will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge the people."
Oh.
So that's very ominous.
Catholicism is so dark.
It is very dark, yeah. And the seven-hilled city is, I believe, what they call call Rome. So the dreadful judge is, the judge.
Which is
Jesus.
such a strange thing to say about your glory God. Like,
yeah,
I wouldn't put God and dreadful next to each other if I believed that was the one that's going to judge me.
Well, I think a big point of Christianity in general is scaring people into submission. So
Dad's gonna hate this episode.
Yeah. Well, no, I think that's accurate. I mean, I think the point of organized religion is to scare people into submission, or at least to live in a way that's
acceptable,
more harmonious with other people, right? So we're not just murdering and raping and pillaging and all the time. I mean, people still do that anyway, but
and religion was for a long time law. So it was the judge, jury, and prosecutor.
Yeah, which is interesting too, because it's been written and rewritten and translated, and things have been lost in translation. So you're going off of someone's translation of what they think this meant, which is a whole other issue. Yeah. So some point to Pope Francis, born Jorge Mario Bergoglio to Italian immigrants, as fitting the Peter the Roman description. His father's name was Mario Jose Bergoglio, and while not named Peter, the connection to Rome through his heritage fuels speculation. But while prophecy of the Lord is undeniable, many scholars and theologians questioned its validity, obviously.
Yeah.
The lack of references to the prophecy before its 16th century publication cast doubt on its authenticity. At the same time, it's okay, it was stored in the Vatican, so how many people had access to it, and would they have written about it? Especially because it prophesies the end of the papacy and even the world, maybe, or the church.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. I mean, it's also such an old document that maybe there was information on it and that was destroyed at some point before then.
Yeah.
So we don't really know either way. And critics argue that the detailed accuracy of the early mottos suggests they were written retrospectively, while the vagueness of the later entries indicates a lack of genuine foresight. So that's always a possibility too, that, those were written in 1590, and then said, oh yeah, this is from 1139, when really they had just written it that year. So, yeah. And furthermore, the Catholic Church has never officially recognized the prophecy, and many within the clergy see it as apocryphal. But that reminds me of that show, Evil. I don't know, have you seen it on Netflix and Paramount? It's really good. It's all about this guy who's becoming a priest, and he has visions. So he's been selected by higher ups in the church to investigate these weird things that are happening, to see if it's something related to the church, or if it's something that's mental health or an illness, or if it's something technological. So they have this guy that's going to be a priest, a psychologist, and this guy, and they all work these cases together. And it's got all these really cool undertones and stuff. And they acknowledge that a lot of things that are believed within the church aren't necessarily acknowledged, to people outside of the church. So there could definitely be these things that are talked about inside the church as believed, but maybe they're looking for more evidence. And even if they had the evidence, would they admit that this is the end of the papacy,
Yeah.
Because the Pope has a lot of control and power.
Yeah, I don't think they would admit it. I think it sounds silly. It kind of reminds me of like the Illuminati, where no one who's in it would admit they're in it. No one who knows about what's going on in the Vatican will admit they know what's going on in the Vatican.
Yeah, it's like on a need-to-know basis, and we don't need to know, or at least they don't think we need to know. And despite that, the prophecy persists in popular culture, often resurfacing during times of global crisis or papal transitions, reminding us of our fascination with the end times, of course, and desire to find patterns in chaos. So I think that's very, relevant, especially now with so many crazy things going on. We're all looking for like
stability.
Yeah, and is there any answer to this, and like what's going to happen on the other side of all this stuff, just to know that things are going to be okay. But unfortunately, I don't think that we can know that at this point.
That's like the human condition is always just trying to find stability and know that things are going to be okay.
Yeah.
Which I think is why a lot of people look at religion and they're like, okay, but when I die, because death is so scary, God's going to take care of me and everything's going to be fine. So the falling of the papacy would probably scare a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, people, especially obviously Catholic people, because, that might kind of shift how they believe other things, within the church. And it has such a powerful place in religion. So it definitely would be a changing of times. An intriguing interpretation of the prophecy suggests that the world could end in 2027. So again, that's very soon. This theory posits that Pope Sixtus V, who became Pope 442 years after Celestine II, represents the midpoint of the prophecy, adding another 442 years, which would bring us to 227.
Ooh,
so
delightful.
Yeah, and while this numerological approach lacks empirical support, it adds another layer of the prophecy's mystique, obviously, especially with that, date not that far away.
Yeah.
And all these global things that are happening in the Middle East and here and South America, like there's just a lot going on everywhere.
The world's literally on fire all the time.
Yeah.
You were just saying it's 60 degrees where you are in California, and it's 80 degrees here I am in Maryland. Like, the world's literally...
a lot of global warming changes. And it's interesting, too, because quite a few of the candidates that would be up to become the next pope are named Peter.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's kind of like fueling this idea that the prophecy is real.
Right.
And yeah, so I wonder if that will influence them in any way on who to choose. And like we said, there's so much else going on that, like, as we navigate an era marked by pandemics and climate change and geopolitical tension, the idea of an ancient prophecy predicting our demise resonates with a lot of people, serving as both a cautionary tale and a reflection of our collective anxieties. So we're kind of bringing this up to the surface and like feeding into it, which it's like, you could say that by feeding into it, we're giving it more credibility, we're manifesting it in some way. So it's just kind of like a vicious cycle,
What is that joke about millennials? We saw 9/11 on live TV, and then it just never stopped. Like, then there was the pandemic, then there was this, then we're in Iraq. So we've just always been in a state of panic, like, our entire lives.
Yeah, I read something that said that like science or researchers believe that society peaked in the 90s, basically, which seems pretty accurate to me. Having lived in the 90s, I don't know about the decades before that, because it could also be like the 50s, right, when everyone was like stability and houses and things were cheap.
But all the housewives were on drugs and
yeah. All the husbands were alcoholics, and I mean, depends how you look at things, but it's definitely been a tough go. Yeah, we had 9/11, then the war in Iraq, then we had the economic crash of 2008.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, which I was in high school at the time and I had a job and I actually felt bad. I'm like, am I taking someone's job that like needs to support their family? Like, so that's all I got on this. And, all of our conspiracy theories. We could just talk about those for a long time, but we won't bore you. So for our next episode, what are we doing for our next episode?
Well, it depends if Dad gets back to us.
Oh, yes, we're running our Doomsday episode past our dad, who has a lot of knowledge about this stuff. So
that's where we get the conspiracy theories from.
Yes, yeah, we get a lot of those from him. So we'll see what his input is. But yeah, if not, we've got some other things going on too that should be interesting. So
yeah, so we got a vampire one coming up, and you guys do not want me to get on the vampire train because I will not stop and I will not end it.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, just if they're out there, can one of them find me and just make me a vampire already?
Oh, no, thank you. Though Lance is really getting sick of me talking about Lestat.
Yeah. Well, maybe if you become a vampire, you can stop talking about Anne Rice characters.
I will never stop talking about Anne Rice characters. That will never happen.
Yeah, well, then maybe if I become a vampire, I will not turn you. I'll just...
She said, I'll just kill you so we stop having to hear about it.
No.
Vibe,
I'll come visit you every 5 years or something, and you'll keep aging and I'll look exactly the same, and then, you know how it goes. Yeah.
I can't tell if that's rude or not. At least tell me you're a vampire if you're a vampire.
I mean,
Also,
you'll have to sign a contract.
I deserve to be a vampire before you deserve to be a vampire. I've stuck solely for the fact that I know the lore so well.
Okay, but who says the lore is accurate?
I know there's so many different lores. I know all of them.
Yeah, okay, well, I'll test out the waters and we'll see how it goes.
This is just an episode of us bullying each other.
Yeah. Oh,
if I'm a vampire, I'd turn you if you wanted to be turned.
Yeah, because it would make sense for me to be a vampire. You would have to sign a contract stating that you will not talk about Anne Rice characters.
I physically cannot make that promise.
The other vampires will kill you. They're gonna get so sick of it. So
I'll probably take a long nap for a while, and by that time there'll be other vampires for me to talk about vampires with.
Sure. Yeah. Well, let's go with that. I guess you can be awake for 5 years, and then you have to sleep for 100 years.
Honestly, that 10 out of 10 would agree. 100%.
Yeah.
100-year nap, absolutely.
Yeah, and hopefully someone awakens you, right? Because then, what's that movie with the werewolf and the vampires and they...
Underworld.
Yeah, remember you have to do that whole ceremony to awaken someone?
Did you see how fast I remembered that? That's because I know the lore.
Oh my god, okay. Jesus Christ. Okay, well, if the end of times comes in 2027, at least we won't have to hear about this anymore.
If there is an afterlife, I'm going to find you and just talk to you about Anne Rice out of spite.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be in the woods, so...
That's going to be your purgatory. It's listening to me talk nonstop.
No. God's going to say, you've been through enough. I'm going to separate you guys.
Anyway.
Christ. Okay. Yeah, well, that's the end of that. And, yeah, we'll see you in the next one, hopefully. Stay strange.